report to submit comments in respect of the allegations against them specifically.
Sraj, we know in March 2023 cleared the former Environment Minister, Professor Frimpong Boateng, after an individual filed a petition against him in 2019 alleging his involvement in Galamsey. Dennis Wedam of the Current Affairs Desk has details of that petition filed by one Arnold Agbodo.
The complainant says that he had discovered that Professor Frimpong Boateng had 5 concessions registered under that company called Symphony Limited, and that he had held those 5 concessions for a very long time. At a point, he had given up on 3 of them, but he was still holding on to them so that the state could not reassign them to somebody else. The contention of this petitioner was that while Prof was holding on to those concessions, some other Ghanaians who also wanted to get those concessions were not given the opportunity to get into that space. So that's why he makes the case of causing financial loss to the state. Now, he says that by virtue of Prof then being the Minister of Environment, Science, Innovation and Technology, he perhaps may have used his influence to be able to hold on to those concessions. Right. He goes on to make the case that an agency like EPA, whose permit is critical, Prof perhaps may have also used influence to secure those permits. And that was the abuse of office bid. So in all, Sraj had to hear from the complainants. He also heard from Prof himself through his lawyers.
Well, Sraj boss Joseph Wittal said the investigations into that matter found nothing against Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng.
We investigated allegations made against Prof Frimpong Boateng. He was not involved in any illegal mining concessions. He had genuine concessions, which he had difficulty even starting the processing of those concessions because of community violence against his companies.
Just for the benefit of emphasis that after your investigations, this Symphony Limited belonging to Professor Frimpong Boateng, his wife and now his son, were not involved in illegal mining?
As a matter of fact, that is the case. That was our finding.
Commissioner of Sraj Joseph Wittal there speaking to Alfredo Council of Ghana tonight on TV3. Meanwhile, former Chief Executive Officer of the Mineral Commission, Tony Obing, wants government to demonstrate it is ready and committed to fighting illegal mining by instituting a commission of inquiry into the Galamsey report.
If an illegal act has been committed, then the process must be, and then of course, if you look at what Professor Frimpong Boateng wrote, much of which by my personal judgment were correct, then obviously the commission of inquiry would be the right thing. Whatever action according to law would be imposed, must be imposed. Because we need to indicate to society, we mean business when we talk about fighting illegality, especially in the exploitation of our natural resources.
You heard there Tony Obing, he's a former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission. Let's stay a while longer on this subject because the Opposition National Democratic Congress has vowed to fiercely reject attempts to prevent a bipartisan probe into the allegations made against the President and some named government officials in an Al Jazeera documentary and also the report by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng on illegal mining. Here is Communications Officer Sami Jemfi.
The special prosecutor must act with alacrity by probing the Frimpong Boateng Galamsey reports and prosecute all government officials who have perpetrated serious crimes against the state as contained in the report. It has been confirmed that all the so-called fight Operation Banga Galamsey, I am putting my presidency on the line. Everything was a charade.
Sami Jemfi, Communications Officer of the NDC. To other news, the Parent-Teacher Association of the Fijai Senior High School in Sekondi has jumped to the defense of a suspended headmaster of the school over alleged illegality. The headmaster, Kenneth Agbomeze, was suspended last week by the Ghana Education Service for allegedly collecting unapproved fees. His suspension is to pave way for investigations to continue. But here is Chairman of the PTA of the school, Gabriel Sampson.
It wasn't something that very few of us sat somewhere and we came out with this. It was a general PTA meeting. We've come out because we know that the headmaster of Fijai Secondary School has not collected any amount.
Chairman of the PTA of Fijai Secondary School there, Gabriel Sampson, they're calling for the reinstatement of a suspended headmaster of the school. Let's stay a while longer in the Western region because police, they have arrested 3 suspects in connection with a robbery attack on a gold buying shop at Akuntakwa. The suspects Ezekiel Stevens, Samuel Amweshi and Fatawa Wudu, together with 3 other suspects armed with weapons, attacked the gold buying shop on 18th April 2023 and made away with an unspecified amount of money. Following the attack, the police on the same day launched an operation on the gang and arrested 3 of the suspects in the bush around Bench. So a search conducted on them in the bush led to the retrieval of 3 motorbikes and a sack fully loaded with an unspecified amount of money believed to be the booty from the attack on the shop. All the suspects were subsequently put before the Tarkwa District Court on April 21 and have been remanded into lawful custody to reappear on May 3. Now, Inspector Ahmed Chumesi, who allegedly shot dead Victoria Dapa, also known as Marjorie in Idum Kumasi, has confessed to killing her because she owed him 5,000 cedis. This was contained in the prosecution document as read in open court yesterday. He was charged with murder, but Judicial Prosecutor Kofi Blagoji has hinted of more charges in the next hearing, which is on May 30. The deceased was shot multiple times by his alleged boyfriend last week. Meanwhile, security analysts and criminologists want some psychological support to men in the service. Justice Tenkebe is a criminologist and lecturer at the University of Cambridge.
It can be a highly stressful job, and we have done we did a study a couple of years ago, and a significant proportion of the officers that were able to administer questionnaires to indicated that they needed psychological support. I think it was about 2/3 of them, because they also indicated sleeping problems and experienced some depression. So it's an important issue. Any police force needs to take seriously. It's also an issue that affects the quality of their performance.
You hear the criminologist and lecturer at the University of Cambridge, Justice Tenkebe. Now, 7 physician assistants were picked up by the police for picketing the health ministry yesterday, have been granted bail. The unemployed health workers were demanding financial clearance and postings 5 years after completing school. Here is one of the leaders.
We have written a lot of letters to the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health to no avail, and so we took the matter up to the Speaker of Parliament. That is where we have both the hats, or maybe both parties in Parliament, and we know that the Speaker or the Parliament has the authority, the ultimate authority, even to impeach the President of the nation. And so we deem it fair that if this matter is taken to the Parliament, we will find that we will get a good result from that.
You heard that one of the leaders of the physician assistants who picketed yesterday. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Gulf of Guinea Commission, President Akufo-Addo, has charged member states to work towards developing new strategies to deal with operations of pirates and maritime-related crimes. Of the 90 global piracy and armed robbery incidents reported between January and September 2022, 13 of them were reported in the Gulf region, compared to 27 at the same period in 2021. Speaking at the opening of a 3rd extraordinary session of the heads of state and government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission in Accra, the president said countries will need a stronger political will to win the fight against maritime crimes. And just before we go, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has so far evacuated a total of 82 Ghanaians from conflict zone in Sudan. A statement issued by the ministry indicates it successfully evacuated 2 batches of 50 and 27 identified Ghanaian nationals to safety in Gedaref, Sudan. Meanwhile, a security analyst stationed in South Sudan says there is relative calm there as we speak.
Also, as there's supposed to be a 72-hour ceasefire, for which for now seems to be holding, they would also have the opportunity, particularly those who are not able to move, to also move out of the area. I mean, before, we see what happens in the next few days.
Yeah, the security analyst Dr. Godfred Nino, based in South Sudan. They're ending our package this morning. If you log on to 3news.com, you find a lot more. I am Komla Adom. Have a good morning.